My husband, John Wilson, who had been dead for 3 years, suddenly came back to life. Overjoyed at regaining love, I cherished every moment, only to discover we'd both fallen into the trap set by him and his first love, Emily. After pretending affection for weeks, John coldly announced he no longer loved me and demanded a divorce. Having waited 3 years for his return, I refused. The monster then burned me alive in our home to claim my entire fortune. Even my childhood friend Alex, who rushed to save me, suffered catastrophic burns and was left paralyzed until his eventual depression-driven death. In death, I learned the truth. The fire that originally killed John had been set by him and Emily. He'd only returned when their stolen funds ran dry, plotting to divorce me for more money. Ms. Smith? Ms. Smith. Wake up. My skull throbbed as if splitting, and my skin burned. Why would I hear my assistant Diana's voice in death? Before I could process this, familiar flames licked at my consciousness, the choking smoke, searing agony. Blinking awake, I found Diana shaking me in my sunlit office. Had everything been a nightmare? Seconds ago I'd been burning, now sunlight streamed through the windows. Are you unwell? You kept trembling, Diana fretted. Still disoriented, I waved her out. As the vertigo faded, realization struck, this wasn't 2023, but 3 years earlier. The calendar confirmed it, 1 week before John would fake his death in the wildfire. Memories flooded me, how John had heroically disappeared fighting the wildfire on company-owned Mount Chaugui. How they'd never found his body after 5 days of inferno. For 3 years I'd refused to declare him dead, clinging to hope. His return had felt miraculous, the amnesiac claiming he'd finally remembered our love. For 2 weeks we'd rekindled our marriage, until he demanded a divorce and half my assets. When I refused, he and Emily torched our home, staging an accidental blaze. My lingering spirit witnessed everything, the arson, Alex's doomed rescue attempt, how my own landscaped trees became death traps feeding the flames. Now reborn, I stared at my shaking hands. This time, the wildfire preparation contracts on my desk wouldn't be signed. John's heroic death would never happen. Let the Wilson family try stealing from the Smith heiress again. This phoenix rose from the ashes armed with foresight and fury. Alex rushed into the burning building. I watched flames engulf him as he pushed through the pain to reach my room, collapsing unconscious at my doorway. Though firefighters eventually rescued him, Alex suffered extensive burns that ravaged his once handsome face, the campus heartthrob now permanently scarred. Hey Ivy. Where's my proper greeting? His familiar voice echoed from the entrance before I saw him. My apologies, Ivy. I couldn't stop Alex. Since marrying John after college, Alex had constantly clashed with me. I never understood his erratic behavior until after my death revealed his long-hidden feelings. Alex slouched on my desk, fiddling with the succulent he'd gifted me at 18. I used to despise his playboy demeanor, yet now found it oddly endearing. His sharp features reminded me of those 3 years after John's staged death, when Alex shed his carefree persona to care for me with unwavering devotion. Let me take care of you, Ivy. He'd pleaded repeatedly during that time. But grief over my deceased husband left me numb to his efforts. Seeing him vibrant and alive now, I impulsively embraced him. His body stiffened before he awkwardly pushed me away. You're married. I don't homewreck unless you divorce him first. I used to dismiss such remarks as teasing, oblivious to his flushed neck and ears. Now I recognized the vulnerability beneath his bravado. When I remained silent, he nervously rambled. If you hug me, you owe me commitment. Explain yourself or I'll tell everyone you molested me. As I hesitated, he added, my parents would kill me for being a homewrecker, but I'll risk it. Just no other lovers. You should hear me out first. He cut me off, shaking. Don't reject me. Just, don't tell anyone I said this. His tearful expression pierced my heart. How had I missed such obvious devotion before? I'll give you that commitment, Alex. But I need 2 weeks. A tear slid onto my fingers as I lifted his chin. I've waited 8 years. He whispered. When you married him, I wanted you happy. But today, his embrace felt practiced. Like he'd imagined this moment countless times. Regret over wasting his love fueled my resolve. Those traitors would pay. At 3 p.m. I knew John would be at the fire station. I visited a discreet underground market for surveillance equipment. Installing cameras in our bedroom, study, and living room. This time, their schemes would be exposed, especially that faceless mistress who orchestrated my previous demise. When John returned that night attempting affection, his touch turned my stomach. The reckoning had begun. It turns out that the look of love in someone's eyes can truly be faked. John noticed my evasion, straightened my body with dissatisfaction, and pulled me into his embrace. What's wrong, Ivy? Why are you avoiding me? I pushed against him weakly, feigning shyness. You're all sweaty. Don't hug me. He stood up and sniffed his shirt. You never minded before. You've changed. I don't love you anymore. John was always affectionate and expressive, that's how he'd managed to deceive me for so long. Even 3 years after his death. I couldn't forget him because he was such an exceptional actor. As he stripped off his clothes, he chatted about fire department incidents. I'd once idolized him for his heroic profession, never imagining someone who'd intentionally set mountain fires for money, completely disregarding the safety of others and his own crew. I remembered that firefighter from my previous life whose newborn daughter had perished in those flames. Thinking of the arson plot, I called Diana while John showered. Cancel all mountain access for 2 weeks. Arrange patrols with fire extinguishers around the perimeter. I could protect my properties, but not others' lands. My only option was securing the original disaster zone to minimize damage. By the time I finished arrangements, John emerged freshly showered. We ate dinner together as usual, though our post-meal walks had become unbearable for me. Claiming illness, I retreated to my bedroom. Checking the surveillance feed confirmed my suspicions. He rushed to the study and dialed someone immediately. Baby, I miss you so much. John crooned without using any name. Eating at the same table and sleeping in the same bed with Ivy makes me physically ill. He continued spewing the same sweet nothings I'd once found romantic, now seeing only the grotesque contortion of his features. After receiving some response, his mood lifted. Come over tomorrow to finalize plans. Don't worry, she cares more about work than breathing. Remember how exciting it was last time on her bed? My stomach churned violently as I stared at the mattress beneath me. Retching sounds echoed through the bathroom as I vomited up dinner. Fury burning hotter with each heave. Snatching my phone, I stormed out. John peeked from the study. Where are you going? Ivy? Business emergency. Need to travel. He simply nodded and returned to his call. Standing outside with only my phone. Reality hit. I couldn't go home where my parents would confront John. They'd opposed this marriage from the start. How right they'd been. Last lifetime they'd tried matching me with Alex. But I'd refused, citing mutual disinterest. Truthfully, our teenage spark had simply faded as we matured. Dialing Alex, I requested. Can you pick me up? He arrived swiftly, taking me to his place. When I mentioned divorcing John without giving reasons, he held me carefully. Wait for me, Alex. Studying his face, I pressed a light kiss to his lips. He flushed crimson from neck to hairline. Mrs. Smith, shouldn't you finalize your divorce before seducing single men? Perched on his lap, I whispered near his ear. You agreed this morning. Since when do comrades refuse? Alex huffed indignantly. It won't be long before I'm the rightful wife. I won't allow you to bring this up again. Even if we divorce, you'll walk away with dignity. We've done nothing shameful, and no one will hold any leverage over you. I arched my brow, surprised to discover Alex had such an endearing personality behind closed doors. His ramblings continued. Nostalgic childhood memories intertwined with complaints about my poor judgment. The sound of his voice gradually lulled me to sleep. When I awoke, Alex had already left for work, leaving only a text message. I called Diana to announce my business trip and remote work plans for the upcoming week. Seated at the dining table, I ate the breakfast Alex prepared while reviewing security footage from last night. The recordings revealed John's brazen behavior, whispering sweet nothings to his mistress in our bedroom since my departure. By noon, he'd ordered excessive takeout, presumably for an expected guest. My breath hitched when the door opened at noon to reveal Emily, my high school and college confidant. My initial assumption of a friendly visit shattered as they kissed passionately in the doorway, their entanglement migrating to my bed. The spoon trembled in my grip, its polished surface reflecting my bloodless face and crimson-rimmed eyes. Emily, of all people. 2 lifetimes. And I'd never doubted her. I'd considered her family, supporting her through financial hardships during our school years. We'd traded academic strengths, my English for her calculus. She'd insisted on being my sole bridesmaid. Now I understood her true ambition. Memories flooded back, her post-John's disappearance visits, urging me to preserve our marriage for sentimental value. How skillfully she'd played the concerned friend while undermining me. The footage showed them discussing their scheme between intimate moments. Darling, when will we execute the plan? Emily traced circles on John's chest. We've already siphoned part of her money. Don't get greedy. They targeted our parenting fund, over 10 million. Mostly my contributions. Last life's grief over John's staged death had blinded me to the theft. This weekend, John kissed her hand. Start the mountain fire per our plan. I'll eliminate that irritating colleague by pushing him into the flames before escaping through the hidden path. My blood ran cold. Had that firefighter's death been deliberate? After 5 days at Alex's, the fateful weekend arrived. At noon, I received the wildfire alert from Mount Chaugui Rangers. My prepaid security team shadowed Fire Chief Mike closely. By my arrival, controlled chaos reigned, flames contained through swift evacuations. Though smaller than last time, the inferno still required 2 days and artificial rain to extinguish. Seeing Mike return safely released the tension in my chest. One family spared this time. The monitor displayed John and Emily's final tryst in my bedroom. What pathetic specimens, what had I ever seen in him? I saved the incriminating footage. Resolve hardening. This rebirth wouldn't be wasted. When the fire crew withdrew, I saw Mike's face darken before he led the firefighters back up the mountain. I knew what they were searching for, their missing teammate John. This time, my curiosity burned brighter. How exactly had John escaped that inferno? But I had no intention of lingering here. No one finds those determined to stay hidden. Nearly a day later, the fire department called to inform me John was missing and likely deceased. I carefully reconstructed my reaction from the previous timeline, suppressing the wild joy in my heart to mimic appropriate grief. The officer on the line clearly heard my choked sobs. Ma'am, we're doing everything we can to find John. Please try to stay calm. He kept repeating. I let the silence stretch until he finally hung up. The moment the line disconnected, my mask slipped. Now came the waiting game. A week later, authorities officially declared John dead after combing Cedar Mountain dozens of times. Legally, he'd ceased to exist. What puzzled me was Emily's absence. Last timeline, she'd been at my door with tissues and platitudes before the ink dried on the missing persons report. Now, radio silence. I FaceTimed her after artfully reddening my eyes with saline drops. She answered from what looked like a clinic corridor, forced smile stretching her pale face. What's wrong, Ivy? Diving straight into grief-stricken chatter about John. I watched her carefully. Her response came rehearsed. Don't file the death certificate yet. Ivy, what if your parents force you to marry Alex? Interesting. Last time I'd swallowed this lie whole. Now I parried, why so certain he'll return? Emily? Her screen wavered as a pained roar echoed from nearby, a sound suspiciously like John's voice. Emily hurriedly promised to explain later and hung up. That clinic glimpse changed everything. John hadn't escaped unscathed this time. I raced to file his death certificate that afternoon, determined to slam this escape hatch shut. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, Alex nearly tripped over himself arriving. The clerk chuckled at his beaming face. Someone's excited. Only when producing John's death certificate did the room hush. As we left, I caught the whispered judgment, remarrying a week after her husband dies? Shameless. Let them talk. Every legal tie to John was now severed. The board would finally recognize my marriage to Alex, transferring those crucial shares. Emily's clinic mystery could wait. I'd already altered fate's first domino. I pretended not to hear. Why should I care what they say? If I took everyone's words to heart, how could I live my own life? After marrying Alex, I told him not to inform our parents. No wedding ceremony either, if we ever held one. It'd be years later. Emily must never know about this. Though I was aware the real storm wouldn't hit for 2 more years, I refused to wait passively this time. Given this second chance, I'd ride the wave of social media trends. Remembering how short video platforms boomed in my past life, I spent these 2 years aggressively expanding my live streaming empire. My assets multiplied exponentially this time around. When my short video platform topped the charts, I flooded the internet with campaigns about John's heroic sacrifice from 2 years prior. Buying trending tags and viral posts, I elevated him to sainthood, only to prepare for his spectacular fall. Among the comments, one caught my eye. Before Chaugui Mountain got developed, I explored an old bunker there. Wonder if it still exists? Staring at this overlooked remark, I realized this must be John and Emily's secret weapon. Emily had spent these years brainwashing me to wait faithfully for John. Looking back, I cringed at my former naivety. While pretending compliance, I'd been living with Alex all along. Strangely, Emily, who'd thrived in my previous life, now appeared increasingly haggard. The truth would surface when John returned. I knew. Exactly 1 month later, the police called. My missing husband of 2 years had been found. John's orphan status meant I remained his only emergency contact despite our divorce. But why had he appeared 9 months early? At the precinct, I found John facing away. Hearing footsteps, he turned, revealing a face ravaged by burns. His once handsome features now grotesque. Finally, Emily's recent struggles made sense. That 2-year coma story was clearly fabricated, more likely. She'd exhausted her $10 million nursing his injuries, unable to legally return him until now. Starved and desperate, they'd unleashed this broken man to claim my fortune. John staggered toward me, arms outstretched. I noticed his limp too late. When I stepped back, he lost balance and crumpled at my feet. Retreating further from his grasping hands, I looked down coldly as he writhed on the floor. Ivy. Why? His raspy voice cracked with disbelief. Tossing divorce papers before him, I stated, "We dissolved our marriage the year you were declared dead." John. Impossible. You loved me. He clawed at the air, dragging his crippled body in circles. Check the records yourself. We're at a police station. I remarried 2 years ago. I flashed my diamond ring, its stone dwarfing his past gifts tenfold. Sue me if you dare. Though considering our 2-year separation and your current limitations, I'd advise against it. No doubt Emily had briefed him about my net worth. The emotions of shame, humiliation, and resentment were vividly displayed in John's eyes. Without sparing him a glance, I turned and walked out of the police station. 2 days passed without any movement from John, until today when I came across a viral video while nestled in Alex's arms. The footage showed John hysterically accusing me while clutching his ID card. I'm the firefighter who went missing during rescue operations 2 years ago. A kind soul saved me. I've been comatose until recently awakening. My first act was returning to what used to be my home, only to find it abandoned. Feigning sorrow, John even shed crocodile tears. At the police station, I discovered my wife had remarried within a week of my presumed death declaration. She's Ivy, CEO of Wanhao Group. I stand by every word and seek justice. Though I can't afford legal battles, I'll fight this to the end. Overnight, the internet exploded with vitriol, transforming me into public enemy number 1. Comments flooded in. CEO? Wonder where her money really comes from. Wouldn't touch this gold digger with a 10-foot pole. Her husband died a hero and she pulls this? LOL. I'd marry her if she brings that billion-dollar fortune. Disgusting, I actually work for this witch. Unfazed. I secretly boosted John's social media traction. Soon he launched live streams, tearfully recounting our college romance. Donations poured in. His debut stream nearly breaking platform records. The irony? Half his earnings landed in my pockets. As owner of the largest short video platform, he had nowhere else to go. His performative outrage amused me. Despite online threats of resignations, not one employee actually quit. Protesters waving banners outside headquarters and paparazzi stalking my exits became daily sights. Today, as I strode through the main gate flanked by elite security, a reporter lunged forward. Ms. Smith. He shoved a microphone forward. Your response to abandoning your heroic husband and remarrying? I calmly took the mic. I appreciate John's entertaining contributions to our platform. If he's truly struggling, I'll personally adjust his revenue split to 60-40 in his favor. Bitch. Someone screamed as an egg flew toward me. Alex materialized, steering me safely into our waiting car. My statement effectively killed John's donation flow, forcing his supporters into offline fundraising. After a dozen such events, court papers finally arrived. John was suing. On trial day, I arrived with corporate lawyers and Alex. The courtroom drama unfolded with John's theatrical testimony. When the judge invited my defense, I remained silent, letting legal counsel handle everything. Did you ever imagine this when planning my funeral, Ivy? John finally snapped, dropping his saintly facade. I couldn't help but smirk. Sorry, John. I never held a funeral for you. Watching him squirm gave me immense satisfaction. My lawyer then presented John's death certificate and the official declaration of death issued by the police. John's lawyer immediately countered. If a death declaration is proven erroneous, it must be revoked, automatically reinstating the marriage. Therefore, the defendant unknowingly committed bigamy. Our demand is to proceed with the divorce but split all marital assets equally. Of course he wanted the money. But what they didn't know was that I'd spent the last 2 years quietly transferring ownership of my company back to my father. All my assets were held in his accounts, while I publicly appeared to run the business. The actual liquidity remained under Dad's control. I never doubted my parents, their only child. I'd been cherished since birth. I'd prepared meticulously. Even if John fought this in court, he'd leave bankrupt. My lawyer continued. Despite the erroneous death declaration, the plaintiff and defendant have lived separately for 2 years, fulfilling grounds for dissolution of marriage. Those 2 years were circumstantial. John's lawyer snapped. That doesn't justify withholding assets. My attorney had baited this exact response. In that case, we submit new evidence discovered post-summons, security footage from the defendant's home. John paled. He'd never known about the cameras. I installed these after noticing missing valuables. Suspecting the housekeeper, I explained. Before I could confront him, he was declared dead. I moved out immediately. The courtroom screen showed John passionately kissing Emily before leading her to the bedroom. The footage grew so explicit that the judge ordered it stopped. Everyone grasped the implications. As evidenced, the plaintiff committed adultery prior to divorce proceedings. My lawyer declared. The verdict came swiftly. I won. But the night's drama wasn't over. Online critics raged, money buys justice. How could someone so respectable lose? No fairness for ordinary people against capitalists. Capitalizing on this outrage, John and Emily launched a fundraising scam. I waited until their coffers swelled, then leaked their affair video nationwide. Paid trolls and ad promotions made it trend by dawn. Public opinion flipped violently. Frauds. Faking the devoted husband act while cheating. Return the donations. Ivy's the real queen here. Having heard my warnings, John and Emily stopped live streaming but kept scamming fans offline. Now those fans were filing fraud reports. The pair likely fled town. Amidst this chaos, I officially announced my marriage to Alex. The internet swooned. Ivy and Alex are the ultimate power couple. I wished it ended there. Then came the anonymous call. Ivy. Don't you want to know why I did this? Come alone to Pinecrest Peak tomorrow. Emily's voice. Of course it was her. I went. After everything, the friendship I'd offered. The betrayal with my husband, I needed answers. Ivy stood alone on the mountain when I spotted her. My eyes darted around, searching for John's hiding spot. Don't bother looking. John abandoned me hours ago. She sneered. I arched an eyebrow. How could that lame duck even run? You've always flaunted your perfect life since high school. Haven't you? Emily's bitter laugh echoed. Rich. Beautiful. With childhood admirers trailing you, while I had nothing. Did you know John fell for me first in college? You're the real homewrecker here. I studied your preferences for years. Even made my boyfriend seduce you. I wanted everything you had. Flames licked at the dry brush. How predictable, fire again. If I can't have your life, I'll destroy it. Emily screamed hysterically before fleeing. So John's abandonment was staged. They'd obviously retreated to their hideout. Tracing their probable path, I headed toward the forgotten bomb shelter entrance. That viral comment thread had led me to dispatch multiple search teams. We'd found 2 entrances, one frequently used, the other overgrown. Under the guise of tourist safety, I'd ordered the main entrance sealed. Let them choke on their own arrogance. Emerging downhill, I collided with Alex and firefighters. Ms. Smith. You were shaking so badly earlier, are you hurt? The fire captain asked. Please, I'm carrying precious cargo now. No solo heroics for this mama-to-be. The inferno consumed John and Emily at the sealed entrance they'd never bothered to check. Had they glanced at the weathered sign reading danger and no entry, this tragedy might have been avoided. Their own surveillance footage condemned them anyway. When police questioned me, I played the clueless survivor who stumbled upon the alternate route. Let the cameras tell the real story, arson doesn't lie. They'd orchestrated their own demise. When exhaustion weighed my bones as I leaned into Alex's protective embrace. Now, I whispered against his chest. We can finally have our wedding.